Hi, everybody. This is again Klaus M in the Otterly.AI podcast, and with me is Tom. Hi, Tom.
Hey Klaus, how's everything going on your end?
Great, absolutely great. But it's already getting dark here, so you see all the lights
Yeah,
here, or probably everyone who is listening, you don't see it, but we have a nice evening here.
with a
Yeah.
fantastic background as always.
So we said that we do that now weekly, and this is another episode of our podcast. And actually, we want to talk a bit today about the again AI search, but also, there is a big question for everyone who saw already Google AI overviews. Everyone is wondering, how can I get with my brand or my products into that overview? And I think that's a very critical question that we want to throw into the buckets today and to figure out and talk about it. And actually, we there was a very amazing article I read recently, and you, Tom, were so nice and shared it with me from Will Reynolds from Sear Interactive, which was about how his traffic dropped, and I think that's a good starting point because the reason why we are asking ourselves why we want to be in the new way of AI-based searches is because the current traffic, as we know it and as we have done it for a long
Yeah,
time, the SEO game is in many cases dropping in 2024. So many brands are worrying about how will be the future of my
yeah,
website, and everyone is wondering what is the new way or new trend in that, and how can I keep up and keep my revenue? I think that's the most relevant question. And
yeah,
Will Reynolds kind of had a very great article, and yeah, I wanted to jump on that. So Tom,
yeah.
what do you think about the current developments in what you hear from brands? Do you hear anything like, do you have that in your own company that
Yeah.
traffic is dropping and you are worrying
Yeah.
where does this traffic go?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a deep question, right? On why should I think you're also raising one very relevant thing. Why should we care as marketing teams about being visible or being found in a generative AI or yeah, Google AI overview or on generative engines? I think the whole geo bus around generative engine optimization kind of goes then hand in hand or follows on that after that why question. But I mean, yeah, is traffic declining? And we spoke a bit about that last time, right? That there are some predictions out there. But personally, I do see various situations happening right now. Since Google AI Overview is primarily visible in the US and the UK and by now I believe also in Australia, it's primarily a challenge in those countries, right? So I'm based here in Central Europe, and most marketers in Central Europe, I think, don't even know what's going on the Google AI Overview side of things. So this could be a big surprise for many of us here, right? When once Google starts rolling that out here as well. But to my US colleagues or the US colleagues I speak with, yes, some industries, some businesses do see a decline in organic traffic. And most often the journey or the conversations start with, Thomas, I'm seeing in my Google Search Console that I still have the same position on Google Search organically. I still get the same impressions, but why is my traffic declining, right? And the I think the answer is in many occasions, yeah, because Google is adding on top of the organic search rankings some AI overviews. So depends on who you trust. I think one of the big challenges for us is that nobody really knows how often Google is pushing out an AI generated answer on top of the organic rankings. But from some very practical observations we've done with some clients at Otterly, so where we analyze that on scale in a very automatic way, is that we've seen for high intent keywords, mid intent keywords, AI overviews being shown in 55% of all keywords. put it differently, in half of those relevant keywords that our customers care about, there is an AI generated answer. So that's a big percentage, right? Like if half of your relevant keyword set shows an AI generated answer, the next question is, as you said, Klaus, how can I get in there, right? And I think the first question on how can you be visible in a Google AI answer is, well, let's start with the fundamentals. Do you even know what the output is on an AI overview? And I mean, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on how you've seen marketing teams solving that question, because I think many marketers basically then start Googling or going to ChatGPT on, okay, give me the text output in a very manual sense. And so most often, first step is, okay, let's look at how does the text response in an AI overview look like? Which brands are mentioned? With links are cited? And that requires us as marketers doing some research. And I think some marketers are spending more research on understanding for their specific industry and use case what's going on there, and others don't worry or might not need to worry about it too much for now. But
But
I mean,
but
put
why?
it,
But why
yeah,
why should I mean, basically for me, and everyone says, okay, the traffic is dropping, and I
yeah,
say, okay, that's maybe another Google update.
yeah,
It's just
yeah,
their algorithm do better SEO. So, and then you
yeah,
get your traffic back up. So why
yeah,
should I just not play the game as I've done it for the last years? I mean, that's for
yeah.
me the reasonable
Mm.
next step.
I mean, I would ask you which game, right? Are you playing the SEO game? Is it a marketing game? It's quite a philosophical question, but if you're playing the SEO game for a while now, I think you're most naturally also playing the geo game, right? The generative engine optimization game, because SEO isn't fundamentally that different, right? We spoke about, is SEO dying or not? It's not dying, it's just evolving, right? And as you might have reacted to some previous Google updates, hopefully you also react to this Google update that Google is pushing AI generated answers. And the way you can respond to that is by monitoring what's going on there, understanding which links are being cited by the Google AI overview, understanding with which text outputs are being cited, and then coming up with an action plan on how you can optimize that, because there are ways to optimize your own visibility of your brand and of your links. It's and that's typical. It's not typical. That's a similar game than what you would do as an SEO expert, right? To optimize that and be focused on that. But let's go maybe one step back. I'd be curious to, like, Klaus, what your take is in the sense of, um, we now have we have the whole AI situation, right? Where many marketers already generate lots of content with the help of AI, right? Maybe fully AI
Yeah.
generated. And I know you're a true expert and tester of various tools and AI platforms to auto generate content and publish content. And so what's your take of why should you even care about, let's say, relevant human generated content? Should you go down that route of, okay, let me hire some experts who dive deep into content versus simply using an AI tool for content generation? What's your take on all of that?
Yeah, I mean, that was my first provocative answer, maybe that I would have said, hey, if my traffic is dropping by
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah,
40%, as Reynolds said this in his article, that he observed a drop of 41% of his traffic. And I said, yeah, then use the AI tools, use the AIs against the AI, and just, auto build more content with it. And that might be an answer, to play the traffic SEO game. So that's one thing, and that's of course. But I mean, to be honest, yeah, I think that's, and as you mentioned, I'm trying a lot of things. Yeah, there are of course also some critics on me doing that, because many people just, they don't think you should generate content automatically, which I understand, because okay, great content comes from great authors. But on the
Yeah.
other hand, we know that probably I would say a huge percentage of all the content that is out there is written by some um, writers, SEO hired SEO writers, and now you're just hiring the AI. So
Yeah.
so I think
Yeah, true.
for a certain time that will work. But
Yeah.
actually, to as you said, one step back. I believe, we saw all the AI game and everyone was wondering and some were worrying like what will AI do to our life in the future? And I see great potential. Of course, everyone who saw Terminator and it has its 40th anniversary, you could also worry what can happen with AI. But let's say every company also worried and saw which potentials can it have, but also how can it attack my business. And Google, they had to do something. So this is why I'm strongly believe that you cannot just continue to work in the SEO game as you have done it like until now, but you also have to see what is coming next and how it changes it now, and also change your tactics and your principles that you kind of taught to your clients, for the longest time now, because I believe that most of the SEO KPIs that were out there, like
Yeah.
traffic and backlinks and how
Yeah.
many articles we can push, this will not be relevant so much in the near future, because Google will definitely also play the AI game, because otherwise they lose all the shareholder value, and not only
Yeah.
might not bring the
Yeah.
the the, the
Yeah.
value to the customer, but they also will worry if they're not in the game, someone else might take over. So that's
Yeah.
their huge. So I
Yeah.
also believe that you have to look very, very carefully now, and it might not be important right now. Yeah, as if Will says in his article that 41% drop, that's massive, of course, but um, others have less traffic dropping. But that will come fast, as I also mentioned in the last podcast. It will, as soon as it's kind of and when you were before, when you're mentioning that we are in Europe, we are currently in the safe harbor, I was just thinking how the EU AI Act is protecting us. But
I think
I'm
that
kidding.
we'll save that for another episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, but it
But
will come, and it will
yeah.
probably hit
Yeah.
harder and
Yeah.
less prepared than people in the
Yeah.
US.
Yeah.
So, but I strongly believe that you have to prepare for what's coming next, and how the AI, how searches will change. Also, the new players on the market. It's
Yeah.
Google, of course. They are
Yeah.
the strongest leader there. But Perplexity is coming, ChatGPT. So many people are using ChatGPT, and then when they find brands or products, then they go to Google and search for it, and it looks for you like direct traffic. And what
Yeah.
I saw, for example, in my previous company I was working on, I saw that the direct traffic massively. Oh, so the direct traffic massively increased over the course of the last year, and I believe
Yeah.
that one reason is that people coming from other tools,
Yeah.
AI tools, yeah, and
Yeah.
searching for it.
Let's do an experiment here, Klaus. Let's put ourselves on the spot. Let me freestyle. We So I think we are all in this team of okay, attribution is a challenge, right? And the user journeys are messy, and you just gave an example of yeah, what's the real source, right? Someone might have found us on ChatGPT or on Google AI overview. And the reality is, as we also mentioned, the number of clicks will become less and less, right? Because yeah, people will do their own research, and the way those platforms work is they are hiding those citations, and they are less prominent on a simple compared to an organic page on Google. But what I'm trying to get at is we're both marketers, right? And we spoke about AI generated content on scale potentially, right? Let's go down that route versus investing in efforts like brand, community, and all of that. So let's say you and I, we're gonna start a HubSpot alternative, a CRM for modern CRM for marketers. We're gonna start from scratch. We have a bit of money to invest in marketing. We do know that inbound marketing is a super relevant aspect of our marketing strategy for us. So, what are we doing, Klaus, to be visible on be it ChatGPT, Google, wherever? How would you split your marketing budget, your marketing resources, looking at that market, CRM for marketers, modern CRM for marketers, HubSpot alternative. What are your thoughts there?
Mm. I mean, from if you you heard before that I'm a person who loves to use automations.
Yeah,
However, if I really dive into what I deeply inside of me believe, then I believe that the kind of the reputation and brand authority will become more and more relevant. So, out of this like content that is auto-generated and that's
yeah,
probably talking about the same topics and not adding this human aspect to this content, I think that will be less relevant. It will be there and it will also be found
yeah,
maybe by the ones who don't care what the quality is. But in general, I think that an authority with your brand and reputation will become super important, which means that when you say inbound strategy, I also believe that maybe the normal like writing blog posts game might not work as well as it did before, and you will have to go into social media and stronger than more confident
yeah,
than you did before and build your brand there. I mean, we know that like Reddit, currently the AI overviews are based on like informal or like
yeah. User-generated content.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it tries to, answer questions, and the best you can do is like by someone who already explained something and gave an answer to it. So
yeah,
if you are on Reddit, if you are on Quora, it might be a good
yeah,
base to be there. But of course, also the other platforms will follow in a certain sense. And if you have a reputation there, you
yeah,
will have better karma points, like they say
yeah.
in
Are
Reddit.
you
So
are you a Redditor, Klaus? Are you have
I
you
actually
collected
started.
karma points?
I didn't do that like before 2024, but
Yeah,
actually this year I started being there because
yeah,
I heard that
yeah,
like so many companies
yeah,
were even paying Reddit
yeah,
to use their
yeah,
content
yeah,
to fill or to
yeah,
when it came to the knowledge building of their AIs. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's
So
it's it's a little sidestep, but it's quite. I mean, you can make up your own mind if it's good or bad, but it's quite interesting to see how Reddit's organic traffic is growing just by them being very visible on Google and Google AI overviews and ChatGPT. And I mean, it's no
yeah,
secret, right, that OpenAI used Reddit as one of the key sources training their LLMs. So
yeah.
yeah,
So to answer your question that you said before, if we would
yeah,
rebuild or if we would build a competitor to HubSpot, which we are not, then I would focus and start my campaigns with building authority on social
yeah,
media
yeah,
and go from there.
yeah, yeah. No, I
You
mean,
too.
definitely is, I mean, similar. The thing I would emphasize is, and obviously it depends on where you are in the product journey, would always say build the product first, right? If it's a self-service HubSpot alternative, focus on the product experience, create potentially there's maybe a word of mouth, viral, call it viral loop, word of mouth referral coming from the product itself. But on top of that, from a marketing perspective, 100% put yourself out there, build your so-called personal brand, be it on LinkedIn, be it on the internet, create a community around you. I'm a big believer, especially for bootstrapped startups who are just starting, that 1,000 fans, 1,000 true fans, 100 true friends are always better than millions of followers, right? So the whole concept of community, I think, will go hand in hand with the whole brand aspect, the reputation aspect you said. Why? It's a win-win because on the one hand side, what does community mean? Community means user-generated content, right? People write about you, you engage with in public forums, be it Reddit or elsewhere, which then funnels back to Google, funnels back to ChatGPT. And at the same time, you're building reputation, which again, if we look at the Google Eat update, is already a major factor also from an SEO perspective. So I really believe in this loop of put yourself out there, create content yourself, engage in a community, let community create content, and it hopefully sparks into this loop that supports all of your acquisition channels and strategies. So yeah, I how are we wrapping this up today? I think the whole AI generated content piece is definitely an interesting one to be watched. Google is not, I mean, to be clear, correct me if I'm wrong, Klaus, Google is not harming from an SEO perspective, both on Google AI overview as well as organic rankings, your website if you publish AI generated content, correct? So there's no harm in publishing AI generated content per se.
No, no, no. So I think, I mean, no one knows except for
Yeah,
Google, but in general, what I read about it, and of course, I read a lot about it because I'm using it currently and I'm trying
yeah,
it, or at least I'm experimenting with it. So that's maybe the right phrasing. But it's not harming, or Google is not penalizing you for that. But it's the same like writing shitty content.
yeah,
If you write shitty content, if you like low quality content, Google will not kind of push you up in the ranking, and the same happens with AI. And I saw, there will be a job for AI prompt for LLM prompters in the future, and I understand totally why, because I spent so many hours in coming from a prompt that says, "Oh, write me an article about keyword A," and then you get something,
yeah,
to like having even 20 or 30 different prompts that you build on top, where you almost like write the whole article yourself, but you're using so many different prompts to
hmm,
create very good content out of it that is also useful to your audience, because I also don't want to just publish shitty content. Yeah, I want to bring useful content to the audience. So no, you
yeah,
don't get penalized, but quality
yeah,
wins.
yeah. Quality wins and check your status quo, right? To understand if you're really losing organic traffic or not, and how you might lose organic traffic in the future. I think with Otterly we are already seeing great returns for some of our customers, right? When they monitor an AI overview, when they monitor ChatGPT and Perplexity and what's going on there, right? What's going on there from a link perspective? How are your links visible? Are your links visible? To which degree are they visible? And yeah, what can you do about it? I think you cited also a few great references from Will Reynolds, so shout out to him today as well, who is a really great inspiration, I think, for many SEO and marketers out there. And we definitely also post a link as a follow-on read, I believe. Any
I think,
last? Sorry.
yeah. So one thing that I guess it's still for me like interesting, and we haven't fully like maybe covered that today, but
Yeah,
maybe we'll cover that in the next week's episode, is what can I like really specifically do? Because right now we covered that you can be on social media, but
yeah,
what could be a step-by-step plan
yeah,
to get into the new way of how LLM and AI based searches work, and how to prepare for this kind of change that will
yeah,
happen to all of us.
yeah. Well, Klaus, I think we had another lovely conversation today. You already
Amazing.
teasered our next week's topic. So watch out for some deep dives on how you can get your brand into various LLMs and optimize your own content for those LLM experiences. So I guess
But
it's now on us
I
to
believe, the best thing you could do nowadays if you want to learn more about AI-based monitoring and how your brand kind of performs in the AI space, is give Otterly AI. It's Otterly.AI a try and see where your brand currently ranks in kind of prompts or search keywords, however you want to phrase that. I think that's an amazing start to see where you are right now. And
Yeah.
there is this famous saying, you can only change what you can measure.
Yeah.
And I believe that it starts with monitoring. We
Yeah.
currently we don't have the perfect answer for how you can be ranked at the right position right now, but we can start monitoring and then you can prepare for what comes next. So Otterly AI, give it a free trial. And if you want to reach out to us, of course, we are both on LinkedIn. We're happy to talk to everyone. So would be really happy if you just give us um, like a call and we talk about how your brand, how you're doing it, and how you are working with AI today.
100%.
Tom,
And
last words.
yeah, we also have some interesting research on the way on links and brand mentions on the different LLMs. I think there are some differences between Google AI Overview, Perplexity, ChatGPT. So if that the reasons Klaus gave you are not enough to follow us, we will publish some upcoming research on link studies and brand rankings as well. So if you're curious about that, hit us up and we hopefully see you next time, next week, or somewhere on the internet. Have a good one, Klaus. We'll speak soon.
Bye. Bye, Tom.
Bye. Bye bye.